Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, for our first AOS 2.0 episode. Couldn't be more excited. It's Tom. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, friends.
Tom is in a blank white room. Are you in like a spooky old mansion? The furniture behind you looks covered by a sheet.
It is. I am at my parents' cabin in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and I have an internet connection that is like being broadcasted with like a tin can and some like fishing wire. It's like out in the middle of the wilderness, and so you can see like outside stuff. And anyways, so I'm here though. I'm in. Let's do this.
Well, you're in. Unlike our guests,
Commitment, baby. Commitment.
So we were supposed to be joined today by Rob, Mr. Rob Symes, the Honest Wargamer, who like 30 minutes before the show sent me a note that unfortunately he had a last minute conflict come up and he wouldn't be able to be here today. So I'm sorry if you were here for Rob and not Tom or I. That's unfortunate. But
surprise, you know, Rob's not here.
It was not a bait and switch, and it was unavoidable. Rob had a last minute conflict he couldn't get out of. He will be back. We will have him back on the show. Don't worry. And I will update the title of this once it posts so that he's not in the name and people don't get confused. So sorry about that. But we're still going to do what we're going to do, which is this show. And this show starts with the news. And there's a lot of it. Oh my goodness, there's so much of it. So Tom, what do we got, man? Why don't you take us through the news here?
Welcome to AOS 2.0.
That's right. It's here. Woo!
We're in. Let's do some rumor engines.
Okay. Dude, I've got a hot take on this rumor engine. You ready?
Yeah,
I really do.
Hit me.
Let me bring it up. Hold on. I'm sorry. I had other things up. I'm bringing up the rumor engine now. I had some other stuff. But I have a hot take on this. Okay. So let me share here. All right. So here's our rumor engine. Now, Tom, what does this look like to you? What do you think this is? Any guesses?
It looks like a boat.
Like a boat?
Like a boat. Or no, I know what this is.
All right.
It's a Slanesh chariot with leather daddies and S&M straps.
Boom! You nailed it. That's the hot take, baby. That's right. Everybody said harp. Everybody's like, it's a harp. No, it's not.
If by harp you mean like a cords attached to somebody's nipple rings, then yes.
Exactly. Everybody's like, oh, it's a harp. Nope. It is not. This is exactly like somebody in the comments just said the same thing. Exactly. This is like, it could be part of a chariot. It could be part of a standalone model. I don't know, whatever. But those strings are hooked into somebody's flesh. Period. End of story. This is the Hellraiser leather daddies we have been hoping for. All my theories are confirmed. Boom.
I could also accept a Dark Elf airship.
It's not a Dark Elf airship.
I know.
They already got the ocean. They don't get the sky too. So
maybe it's a Dark Elf boat. I don't know how that would work.
And so that is what the take on this is. By the way, to answer a question, because I didn't set this up at the beginning, we're going to be reviewing the Monstrous Arcanum today. So we're doing the Arcanum and we're doing Temerkin's Horde. We are not going to talk about the Legions of Asgore. We're not going to talk about the Chaos Dwarves today. Yeah, they'll be their own show because they're a whole thing. So they'll be their own whole show. But anyways, yeah, that's absolutely what this is. I'm
in.
Yep. Like there is a guy hanging off the bottom of that. Period.
Sure.
Like it is.
I don't agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Think like the late night TV commercials for like, those things where you're like, well, you can order from us and we won't tell anybody. It shows up as nothing on your credit card. That's what this is. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
You think they're going to double down on sexy? And by sexy, we mean like hot leather daddy.
That's right. That's right. All right. Okay. So that's the rooms
Um,
engine. What else we got?
yeah, let's do. So we obviously had AOS Open Day this last weekend with the launch. We had, we have new rules. Vince, you were there. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, man. AOS Open Day was actually really fun. It was a pretty awesome, all in all day. I mean, both personally and just for the game itself, obvi. To get the sort of personal highlights out of the way quickly.
What game are you talking about, Vince?
What game am I talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
For those of you that don't know, Vince, I joked around about Vince showing up at Warhammer World this last weekend.
Yeah.
He, in fact, did go to Warhammer World.
I did,
competed
yeah.
in Golden, and he played on the Twitch stream.
Yeah. So let's get the personal stuff out of the way first. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is, so yes, I did go over for the AOS Open Day. I hadn't talked about it beforehand because I felt like it'd be more fun if I just suddenly showed up there. And so that's what I did. And I like had tweeted out that morning basically when I was there. And if I keep a dog in the background, the viewership goes up. So
I have a chocolate lab around here.
It's very nice. So it was all in all a lot of fun from top to bottom. So yes, I participated in Golden Demon, did manage to win another one. It's in that cabinet right there now. I think it's actually blocked by this bar in the middle, which is quite funny. So
as noted, they are your twins. Yeah. I have twins, and now you have twins.
Sure, absolutely. So I was obviously thrilled about that. And then in a shocking turn of events. So here's this was awesome honor. Obviously, it was only Age of Sigmar categories. There's many less categories. It was actually incredibly tough competition there. Shout out to Terry Pike, who did take the bronze in Monster. We ended up playing later. I'll talk about that in a minute. Shout out to Stefan Johnson, who Stefan won 4. He had 4. Like, there are not that many categories to compete in at this, because like one is staff and one is young bloods. There's basically 4 categories that you can compete in if you don't work there and or aren't under the age of 14. He had like 4 entries and won like 4 demons. Dude is a monster. I've never met the man, but I really want to. Like, clearly he is like, and his stuff was gorgeous, extremely talented. So hey, shout out to that guy, crushing it. If you want to see a beautiful piece, go look at Darren Latham. Obviously won gold in the staff category for his Krydron Overlord Endrin Master, which was a thing of utter and pristine beauty down to the micro detail level. If you ever want to know what good micro detail looks like, go look at anything Darren Latham paints. It's beyond ridiculous.
I'm glad
finishing that morning, by the way.
That's hilarious. I'm glad that somebody's putting one of those models to good use.
Hey, well, there you go. So no comment. So I was happy about that. And then in a shocking turn of events, they do a raffle. When you walk in the door, you can buy a raffle ticket. I was like one of the first people through the door because I had been waiting there that morning. And so I had one of the British like £2 coins in my pocket because they make coins out of money in, larger than $1 denomination, which is strange to an American. So I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with this weird thing. So I was like, sure, I'll buy a couple raffle tickets. Like, sounds good. It was like £1 a piece, right? So I got raffle ticket number 1 and number 2. Okay. I just had them in my pocket, whatever. And I was already thrilled. I'm sitting there, because I've got that thing that I was really hoping to achieve. And he pulls the number and he like looks at it and laughs. And I'm like, oh, he probably pulled a low number, because what would make you, it's a random number. What would make you laugh about a random number other than like if it was the number, I don't know, like 69 or something, if you're like, have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old, right? But a low number would be odd because there were hundreds of people in the room waiting. You would think that was strange. Right. And he's like, number 2. And I was like, oh yeah, baby. And like that raffle's crazy. You get like 250 pounds worth of stuff. They're just like, they just literally walk you over and they're like, go grab a bunch of stuff and come back. This guy will take care of you. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. So that was really good. And then I got to play on the Twitch stream with Terry. I played Martin's Eldritch Council army against Terry was using like one of the house armies for their new Stormcast. It was it was a rough fight, but it was a lot of fun. Like Terry's a really good opponent. He's a really good player. We played Duality of Death with both of our Bronze Golden Demons as the objectives. And got to use some endless spells and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. I don't think it came across on the Twitch stream, but like the last moment of that game ended so perfectly. It was maybe one of my favorite endings in the history of all of Warhammer. So early in the game, I had summoned a purple sun. Okay. But like I was on the top of turns. So he had gotten control of it and had put it back through the portal onto my side of the board. It didn't do anything when he brought it back over.
Right.
But like it just did nothing. But then I had one model left on the board. Right. And if I won priority, I was going to take it and take the purple sun and swing it back around his troops, who had all like coalesced around my remaining heroes, right? Because I had one little archmage left hiding behind the point. And and so he won priority. He took control of my purple sun and he plowed it over my archmage. Now, if you remember how purple sun works, when you go over a model, you have to roll a 6, right? On a single model. So like, it's only going to do anything to the archmage if he rolls a 6, my only model on the board. So of course he rolls the 6 and then rolls like 9 mortal wounds on the 2d6. And my archmage is like, just dies to the purple sun. I was like, oh, what glorious justice that that he dies to my own purple sun is the last
auto game, right? Because it's only if they're over 6 wounds per model.
That's probably true, actually. It doesn't matter. We rolled the 2d6 because we were thinking it's a character. He probably should have just been slain. It was more fun anyways. There's no difference numerically between
what happened. Yes.
Between what happened and that. He was super dead. So yes, you're probably right. But it was a really fun game. Nice. And then I came home. So yeah, I was there for like a day and a half.
You picked up a golden demon, you picked up a bunch of free product, and you got to play on the stream. Sounds like it was a successful weekend.
It was an unbelievably fun weekend. Packing that stuff was very fun because I only took a backpack. Like I don't take luggage. But I got it. So yeah, it was a really great weekend. Thank you to everybody who was there. Thank you to Ben and Martin and Nick and everybody who spent time hanging out with me, had lunch or dinner with me or whatever, and were just really nice and friendly and made me feel very welcome. Thank you to Terry for an awesome game and for being a really fun opponent. So yeah, it was, absolutely amazing. So yeah, all in all, it was great. There you go.
So we're in a new world now.
We are in a new world now.
With that new world, we had an app update.
We did.
And it's in progress. I guess that's one way to describe it. A bunch of new scrolls. I love the new format. It looks nice. It's easy to access. I love not having to download scrolls anymore and all that.
That's a really nice thing. Yes.
Yeah,
I pop it open. I'm just like boom, boom, boom.
Were perfect. Like I love the touches to it. Like even the filtering, being able to like select multiple options to filter out stuff
right,
and be able to like cut out like battalions and like it's a really I love the new functionality. Obviously the big concerns that a lot of people have is that it seems like a number of the scrolls just aren't accurate. I'm not sure what wires got twisted there, but and some of them are missing. I pointed out the Swift Arc agents are missing half of their faction, stuff like that. So
yeah, and it's getting updated. I know they said they're doing a big push this weekend. I believe that like every one of those files is handled individually and manually. So like they have to be, so like version control is obviously a big challenge, yeah. But like, for the whole, like hitting the important part, the individual scrolls can clearly be fixed quickly because that's just like uploading to whatever their database is, the new scroll. If the app had fundamental flaws, like if the UI was bad or it was tough to work with or something like that, or the way it presented was poor, those would be things that worried me. And I don't think that's the case. Like fundamentally, I love the app update. It's easy to scroll through. I like it. It's simple to work with. And if your scrolls aren't some of the messed up ones, hey, it was great. So it depends
No,
on.
it's true. I know that it caused almost a very strong sense of joy amongst the KO players when they saw that like Thunders had been restored with their mortars, and everybody's like, "We're back! This is amazing!" And I was like, "Guys, there's a lot more messed up. Let's dial it back until there's any type of verbal confirmation that's going to stick." And of course, it's not going to stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
So
anyways, lots of changes.
Yes.
So
like overall good. And I'm sure that within like a week it'll be cleaned up and fine. So no
absolutely.
big deal.
And you're talking about other changes. Our email campaign worked. Woo! Good job, everybody. The bases got changed. Like the whole base.
Like very quick. Yeah. Like 2 days later they had the updated corrected one out.
Yep. Like,
and I saw somebody on Twitter who was like, I'm very angry. I was just I was already rebasing. Why? What is it? Why? Why would you do that? Legitimate question. Why? Like when the internet is ablaze and people were clearly upset and everybody had said like there's clearly errors. Why would you go and do that? But why? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, it got fixed and most of the stuff looked fine now. So, okay. Like, sure, there's still a couple strange oddities, but that was always going to be the case. Now we're just in the like, okay, there's some oddities in there because things had no bases or like, you know what I mean? No established history. It wasn't like there was a box or something. And you're like, huh, I wouldn't have thought it would be on that one. Right. But like,
yeah, again, like that Arachnoc on the 160. Whew.
That's a big base. Yeah. Archeon's base. On the big base for a spider. Yeah. Sure. Isn't it funny that guy used to be on basically like a the bigger that little tiny rectangle. Yeah.
But still, I mean, like it was the biggest base GW had, but still, like like that dude is not going anywhere. Like they do not move around the battlefield.
Sure. You know, so like, yeah, on the whole, I looked at it, I was like, okay, cool. This all looks right. Neat. It's fine. Medusa are back on 40 mils again. I'm still going to keep them on 50s. I was keeping them on 50s when they were on 60s. I'm keeping them on 50s now. That's how it is. Don't at me. Yep. I don't care. Like, if a TO comes over and is like, you cannot play in my tournament because you have a Medusa on a 50 mil base, I will say thank you very much. Go do something else for my weekend and happily never go back to such a tournament again. But I'm not worried that would ever happen. So there you go.
So obviously
base gate over. Maybe
base gate over.
Yeah, maybe we can all do maybe next time we can all do what I said we should do, which is relax, email them, wait a day or two, and it'll probably be corrected. Because that's how things work now. And it was. Because this isn't the world we lived in 5 years ago or 10 years ago where something would be wrong for years. This is the world we live in now where they actually are pretty responsive to when there's an issue, they fix it because, you know, they give a crap. So that's pretty nice. I'm just saying. Just a thought.
We obviously have like Forge World scrolls and updates and points, and we'll talk about that. That's the main segment of the show today. Yes. So we'll get back to that in a minute. Scroll Builder had an update. You want to talk about that, Vince?
Yeah, I hope everybody's tried new Scroll Builder. Tony knocking it out of the park with this. So have you played with the new Scroll Builder at all yet, Tom? Have you got a chance to build any armies yet? Okay. So I did. I've been building armies. Sure. I've been building a lot of armies recently because I've got a lot of different ideas right now. Like seriously, as I'm sure most of us are in this case, since getting like the GHB and having to tick over to AOS2, now that like I've actually got, you know, basically all the rules, because I'm not playing a Stormcast or a Nighthawk army, so like I'm not waiting on their battle tomes, so that doesn't matter. It's been like army creation city.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean IJ are in the house, baby. Like I want to leave them behind and start playing my dock, but it's just like they're so fun. They're so good right now. Like the armies just fall together. It's like they're like self-assembling Legos. Like you just take a bunch of iron jaws and shake them up, and when you set it down, you get a different thing. And it's like, look, a new different army. This is also fun. Then you completely reassemble it. Even I was playing with some mixed destruction lists. Just using other fun stuff that's around. Which I think also has some potential, by the by.
I'm super like, it's interesting. Just these small changes really gave something like Spider Fang new life. It was really fascinating. You know, obviously, like within the prior world, like the big weakness with Spider Fang, in addition to not having like battalions and any of that other stuff, was the fact that your general was a 6-wound model that could get killed off really easily. Now he's a 6-wound model that you can have redundancy, and they're still only 100 points. Still costed amazingly well, and you can spread out their bubbles. So now, like, their mortal wounds doubling like range for their bites aren't located to a single spot on the battlefield. You can spread them out, thus spreading out the extra mortal wounds. So it's just a really like I've been playing with my kids AOS 2, and I've just been running my Spider Fang against Stormcast, and it's been a lot of fun. Surprisingly, quite a bit of fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it's interesting. I watched. Shout out to I'll pre-give you my pick of the week here, which is I watched Halo Twitch's latest episode today, and one of the things he did is talk about how like we can't really pick any winners and losers yet, and I agree with that. Like that is to say, Joe Halo Twitch, and like that is to say, there's probably some that you're like you can look at like the very outer edges, you know what I mean, and say like, okay, well, this thing is probably not going to be a winner. Like they're
will be up there.
Yeah, there's probably a couple we can look at and with relative confidence go, they're going to be pretty good or they're probably not. You know what I mean? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like on the bell curve, there are bright edges.
Going to be on top tables, Swift Hawk agents or not.
And yeah, sure. But like actually getting down below that, you know what I mean? When you get in the middle, there's a lot of gray space right now. Right. And, and so that's actually a really interesting sort of world to live in. And what it's meant is that like I think about a lot of different list exploration, and so much has changed just even with basic rules because of the elimination of like the have 20 models to take an objective thing on some of the scenarios, but also the introduction of like some of the scenarios want a hero with an artifact or a wizard. And like there's even like, you know what I'm saying? Like those have nothing to do with army rules. Right. So just like a lot of ground shifted around here and establishing what's actually successful. How important is magic?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. It seems like it'd be pretty important until
I have some, but
sure. Well, like, so it's easy to think, okay, magic will be super important because of like endless spells and you know, realm spells and all that nonsense. Yeah, maybe. Here's a counterfactual. Magic is important. In fact, it's important enough that enough people pack their army with enough dispellers and like strong dispellers and auto dispellers to more or less shut down any magically strong army outside of like the toppest tier. You know, let's say Tzeentch and Nagash, basically, right? And even then, they don't get any of the spells they actually want off, right? They get like the tertiary 5th spell they want or whatever, right? So, like, that could happen. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm saying I could see that sort of a world. And then magic pulls magic back out of the meta because people, like, you're not going to run it if you know it has this hard counter that just makes you auto lose, and so on and so forth.
Right.
I am not constructing what I think to be the real world. I'm constructing what I am alleging is a potential world that will have to be explored in the months to come. That is all.
Yep.
So it's going to be a really awesome couple months, to be sure. So yeah.
It'll be interesting. As I mean, I think basically what you can be assured of is almost anything that's been released recently is going to be at the top of the meta, or it's going to be performing well. It'll perform strongly. Like almost all the new RBs. Ideneth is the one that I still have a question about. But a lot of the other stuff, I think Stormcats are going to be back. Going to be hot. Man, those sequiturs. Whew. Big fan. That's what I'll say.
Sure, man.
Big fan of
Them Dracolines aren't nothing to mess around with. Those evocators on Dracolines. Let me tell you what.
Yep.
Them guys are pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good.
They did some business with your sword.
Oh, poor sword masters. Yeah, they didn't see it coming. I find it ironic that sword masters get killed by kitty cats. That's, there you go. You'd think they'd have more experience with this. Like, they hang out with dudes named White Lions, and yet they didn't see it coming. So, whatever.
I will say that, like, my Stormcast cat army is, like, going to come together now.
Sure.
I talked about, like, a elf bird army, but, like, because you have, like, a lot of aesthetics. But, like, even in the raw Stormcast, there's a bunch of lion aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And then that combined with, like, putting white lions on the table next to, like, hunters who have, like, the lion pelts and axes already.
Sure.
Like there's, like, and then now you got the Dracolines. Like, it's happening.
Are you going to call them? I mean, I assume you're calling this army the Thundercats. Because if you're not, that is a real miss. And at the start of every game, you better start by just yelling out Thundercats. Whoa! And just like if that doesn't happen, you have failed at life. I don't know what else to tell you. It's literally you have failed at life.
Vince called it, the army's called Thundercats. So when you all see that at the tournament, you know what it's called.
There you go. Get on it, Tom. Get on it. Make this happen. Okay.
Do a big horde block of white lions too.
Yeah, dude. They're not that expensive. Like a single chariot, maybe, just to really push it. I don't know, something like that. You figure it out. Okay. All right. So what else do we have for news? The pre-order thing. That's a big one.
Oh yeah. So is this breaking, or has somebody else reported this yet?
I don't know. I have no idea if this is out there, but it's news.
So we have no new Stormcast on pre-order this week. They're going to return on the 21st, which is an interesting development. Said we have Shadespire actually dropping this week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. That's correct.
We have some Shadespire, like, cards, like a deck and some boards. Some new Shadespire boards, which are pretty sweet.
Yes.
And then, but when Stormcast do return, we have 2 new starter sets coming. The first is Storm Strike, small box, 15 models. You're going to get a map, book, dice, and accoutrement. Stormcast accoutrement, right?
Yes, yeah, like, and then you get, like, your little measuring sticks and stuff like that, yeah.
Yep, and then Tempest Souls will be a 34 model, set as well. So, a similar thing with, like,
it's bigger. It comes like paint, right? Like the appropriate paint. Yeah. Do them with sort of the out of the box scheme. But yeah, it's basically like we're a week off. Like, no Stormcast immediately following on the back of this. It's the Blood Bowl is the other stuff coming out. The Dark Elf team.
Oh yeah.
The Nagaroth Night Lords or whatever. So yeah, like I think people had expected, like, more Stormcast rollouts, but nope. You got to wait another week.
He's like, no, you have to wait for those Dracolines. Not yet.
Not yet. So I think they come back the week of the 14th or 21st or something. I'm not sure. Yeah. Like, it's not now.
On the 14th, deliver on the 21st.
Yeah. There you go. Yep. So there you go. I mean, realistically, come on. Unless you're like Duncan and Peachy, you didn't finish your whole starter set yet.
No, I mean, I've assembled all of my Stormcast starter set of one starter set. I didn't touch the Night Haunt. I did 2 easy build Stormcast like sets, a Sequitur and a Castigator. By the way, those are different models too, which is awesome. I love the fact that they're different sculpts. Like, even though they're pushed to fit, they don't overlap, or some of them don't overlap with anything in the main set. Like the Captain and stuff like that. And then you get a little Gryph-hound in one of them, like, for $15. And, like, if you do 2 starter sets, which I may or may not have done, and then one of the easy build, like one of the one easy build, maybe, and 2 of the other one, you actually have
pause. Narrator. He did. Continue.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, I did. So I've gotten through one of my Stormcast sets. I haven't done the second one yet, and I've done my easy builds. And so I'm excited. I'm on a Stormcast kick. Vince, we may be partnering in the fall, and I may be taking Stormcast. I may not be taking God.
That's
just
fine,
letting
man.
you know this.
Dude, if you're jazzed on it right now and it's got your hobby juices flowing, then follow your bliss, man. I don't care. Why would I care? Like, I've never cared what you ran ever. Why would I suddenly start now? Paint what you enjoy. Congratulations. Good. I'm glad to hear you were in a bit of a hobby slump there for a little while.
Maybe for 2 months or so.
Sure. But if you're back and you're enjoying what you're painting, I think Stormcats are incredibly cathartic to paint. Much like Space Marines. Like they have a wonderful sort of silhouette and aesthetic to them. They're a great palette to do more or less whatever you want with. So yeah, okay. Coolio, man. Good stuff. I look forward to seeing the Thundercats hit the table. Da-da-da-da. All right. So okay. Yeah, let's see what the new starter sets you mentioned. Those I don't know. Is that everything? Is that all our news? It was a big news week.
It is big news week.
I think that's everything. I think that's all the news. Obviously we'll get the battle tomes. They did spoil some of the battle tomes. Do we want to talk for a minute about just at a high level about the 2 battle tomes?
Okay. Nope. I mean, they're not officially launched yet. Obviously, stuff's been leaked. There's some neat stuff.
Stormcast are going to have their chambers, much like sort of the covens and things, which are nice. They give you some extra abilities, but they lock your command trait, your artifact, your first artifact, etc. Right?
Yeah, like so the allegiances when you go with like a chamber or whatever are quite restrictive. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you're going to get good bonuses. I think the Vindicators have a really sweet set of bonuses. But some stuff, sometimes it's just not going to be worth it. I think people are going to find that they just don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think there's room here to both use what's there out of the box, to make what's there out of the box your own, right? And to still use the generic rules and just go your own way completely and ignore those, right? And all of those have compelling options, because like the Stormcast book has so many artifacts and just crazy stuff in it. So yeah, there you go.
Matthias, let me mention that. So there's a Kickstarter going on right now for like battle mats. And we'll have the link below. I'll do that for my pick of the week. How about that, Matthias?
There you go.
Let's keep going. Okay, so let me do my pick of the week.
Go ahead.
Pick of the week.
Good segue.
So there's a Kickstarter going on right now. And there's a bunch of like printed battle mat stuff, which are pretty sweet. The 2 that have caught my attention are there are some specially designed ones. And one is like an aerial battle mat. So like a literal 10,000 foot battle mat for like aerial battles. Like, so, with the new rules for like aerial battles and AOS.
Yeah. In the General's Handbook, there are rules for aerial combat. Yeah.
There are rules for aerial combat. And so now you can literally like get a mat that is appropriate for aerial battles. And all the mats, it looks like, are in either like 3x3, 4x3 combos. And then for the 4x3, you can do like you put the 2 4x3s together for like a 4x6. And then also they have a Sky Kraken one too, a Sky Kraken. So like a bunch of clouds with a Kraken tentacles as a mat. So another aerial like KO one. So there's 2 kind of KO battle mats basically, which are neat. Obviously, I'm a big KO fan, so.
Yes.
So it looks pretty affordable, all things considered.
Good. That's awesome. I will drop that link into the show.
They are neoprene and felt, I believe. Like neoprene with the felt print on top.
Nice. I already shared my pick of the week. It's Haywo Twitch's newest episode. He goes through, talks about his excitement for AOS 2. He gives in his list of the week segment, he does a really fun ogre list that I think is pretty cool.
I'm sorry, these are not these are polyester felt with artwork. That's what they are.
Okay.
To be clear. neoprene. Yeah,
No, that's fine.
I was wrong. I thought they were.
It'll be linked down below. Whatever they're made of, whatever space age material of tomorrow they happen to be made of, it will be linked down below. Am I okay now? Can I do my pick? Did you have any other last minute notes you want to include on these mats?
Nope. I might interrupt you again, but continue.
Sure. No, that's fine. So Halo Twitch episode, he does a fun ogre list. It was really good. He kind of theorizes about what he thinks are sort of the winners and losers, even though he starts by saying, of course, that's all nonsense, but nonetheless, here's my shot at the nonsense since we're all engaging in nonsensory. I will disagree with him partially on his Slanesh call. I think Slanesh has got enough gas in the engine to be like low-ish tier 2. Sure, if we're going to start using those terms. Like, I'm not aiming high here, okay? Like, this is just, I think we can mid-ground it. And there you go. Now, one thing, now, Tom, I want to get your hot take on this. Did you happen to watch his episode yet? I mean, it just came out today and you've been with your family, so probably not. Okay.
No.
So he talks about tier sum. And, you know, you're a big fan of this. I'm generally not. Okay. Because in the end, I feel like
people want to know where things fit.
Yes, I understand the human need to categorize that has led us down a lot of terrible roads. Some of the worst deprivations of the post-Enlightenment period in humanity are a result of categorization. At any rate, let's continue with one of the great mistakes that human beings, hedonistic and sort of psychographic shortcuts have caused. So these tiers, he makes an interesting point, which I think I actually do agree with this. If we're going to use this tier discussion, his point is the way he separates them is like this. Tier 1 is an army that has sort of all the available tools in the toolbox. However, that's defined to be highly competitive. Okay. Regardless of sort of their placement on tables, because that's very random. Tier 2 has most of the tools, and in some builds might have, chomping at all of them. And could easily top table or win, depending on matchups and stuff like that. Tier 3 is basically casual, where they're lacking major components. Tier 4 are non-factions, right? Like just, non-real things. His point is like, shadow blades or fire bellies or stuff, right? Like they're not real armies, right? They're just kind of little danglers meant to be allies. Well, we would traditionally call dangler factions. But he also makes a point of calling out S tier. Okay. And S tier is a tier above tier 1 that yes, Relian, like Swift-Hawk agents. That are
Thanks, Relian.
Absolutely. That would be tier 4. Swift-Hawk agents would be a great example of tier 4. The postmen of the universe.
I am going to take them to an event sometime. I'm just going to call it now.
I hope you do. Good luck. I can't wait to see those painted. So S tier are things that are bent. Okay.
They're skew tier. Like it's skew. The presence of those things skew the meta.
In every way. They rely on skew builds, and they are meta skewing by their presence. Okay. Because it's not the army or the faction that's good. It's a skewed list that's bent. And that is built on broken principles. Like it's built on a clearly bent interaction, right?
Are you saying like throwing a block of Chaos Warriors forward? Would you calculate that into
No, I don't think that. No, and neither would he.
Okay.
Vanguard Wing.
So you say like Vanguard Wing.
Vanguard Wing is like maybe the poster child, right?
Okay.
The worst change host offenders, like the flood the board change host, right? There's probably a couple we could look at like this, but S tier things that are just so meta warping by their very presence and rely on like one specific build. You don't look at it and go, Stormcast are this good as a whole. That's not what your comment is, right? Your comment is Vanguard Wing, the specific thing. So it's when there's one particular highly bent build that it hits S tier, and that in general you want to avoid those. And if you're playing one, you should expect it to get kneecapped. It will. He put the clown car in there too, by the way.
Did he really?
Yeah, sure. Because I mean, it's meta warping, right? In the fact that it comes down and either kill. It's a generally not fun experience. It comes down and either kills everything you have of value and then wins, or fails to do that and loses. It's not interactive. It doesn't play like anything else. It doesn't give a game in the traditional sense of how we would think about it. Whatever. Now, again, that can all be argued, right? Like, I'm not, as per always, these things are loose buckets at best. They are full of holes, right? But I think it's an interesting way to think about it. And I would argue that if you're playing something that's relying on an obvious sort of loophole, right? If you're playing a skew, you should expect not to have that list for long, right? Like, that should be the lesson. Like maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's a year. I don't know, but that thing's on the clock, right? Because it's going to get kneecapped.
You consider the Drake Eganeth retreat, charge, run, recharge list in the midst of that 120 elves?
No, I mean, maybe not yet. It's hard to say. Like, just because I haven't seen anybody actually really run it. Like, it's one of those things that's a neat theory hammer, but does it even work? I have no idea. Like, something like Vanguard Wing is time tested. You know what I mean? Like, it did work. You bet your bottom dollar it did. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. And so, like, again, what is the point of S tier was he was calling out that it's an interesting distinction, because certainly it's operating within the tier 1 space, but it's doing so by relying on a single skew build. And then if that build is corrected and broken, you know, the faction doesn't remain necessarily at the top. So, and again, what exactly goes in here is interesting, but I thought it was a really good call out. I enjoyed it.
And the reason why I asked about Drakey is just simply because it takes one of the base rules or one of the base assumptions about the game and breaks it. Does that make sense? The base assumption being that, like, when you engage combat, you're locked in. And that basically says, no, that's not how we play the game anymore. You know, and it does that with its entire army. That would be my concern in the long term about how that army runs. Anyways.
Sure. So I want to address a comment real quick, because I think it's interesting. Somebody mentioned that when we're speaking about different types of gaming, should we not use Timmy, Johnny, and Spike? Because people who didn't play Magic don't know what that is. I don't use them because of my past in Magic. I use them because I think they're valuable psychographic profiling tools that are explorative and explanative on how and why we play. I think why we play is a really important question to answer, and I think they have value. I have videos explaining them. So, I mean, what I would say, and like explaining how I think they apply to Warhammer. I think they're very useful. I think as game designers, they should be thinking about it. And by the way, they are. Because that was one of the things that came out of my conversation with Jervis, by the way. Like, I got to sit down and talk to Jervis for like 30 minutes, and he was talking about their understanding of psychographic profiles and understanding like the classic conception of Timmy, Johnny, and Spike, not as those terms having value, but as the concepts they represent. Right.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
That's very real things.
Yes. Like, it's putting your finger on something real, like wanting to experience something, wanting to express something, right, and wanting to prove something are very real motivators to sit down and play a game. And understanding how you can design rules to meet those are something critical, both for you as somebody who's playing the game and picking an army and a strategy that aligns with your profile, but also as designers. So it was interesting to hear him say that back. It's like, that was unprompted. I didn't mention it. He mentioned it first. In terms of that. So I was thrilled to hear them thinking in those terms. So, because the question, why not say what it represents? Because it's easier to use the shortcut names. The same reason we use names to represent everything. So at any rate, that's just my thoughts on that. Okay. So on to other stuff.
Or hobby week. What do you do this week for hobby?
Oh boy, goody. It's a big week, buddy. This is a big week. Okay. Because it's here. The week is here of 2,000 points in a week. We're in the midst of it. I am recording the series of videos that will be the hobby cheating. They probably won't be the hobby cheating for this week. They'll probably be next week, because I probably won't finish until this Sunday. But when I got back, I immediately sat down and started. And the goal here is painting a 2,000 point army to a relatively high standard in a week. So this is going to be my Imperial Guard army.
Imperial Free Guild army.
My Imperial Free Guild army. Yes, this is an AOS army. It's just built on the classic, like when I first played 40K back in the 90s, I had an Imperial Guard army. It was all tanks and dudes. So it's a gray water fastness, Iron Sword Arsenal Free People army. So it's 3 tenors of handgunners. It's a little more than 2,000 points depending on how I run it, but it's 3 tenors of handgunners, an engineer dude, a Lord Ordinator, 3 steam tanks, a cannon, a Hellstorm, and a Hurricanum. And you can see them all back there, like primed. The rest of the stuff that I'm working on. I'm starting by working my way through the handgunners. So there's one of them.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
So we're going for this sort of like red earth orange, this orangey red and purple scheme, which I like. It works well over sort of a zenithal gradient. As of right now, I'm starting with the hardest part, which is painting all these dumb infantry dudes and their stupid pantaloons.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the goal is here at the end of this week by like next Sunday night, basically, to have all 2,000 points done and look relatively good. And I'll like the video walks through every step of what I'm doing to achieve this in that amount of time. Right. And still keep the quality level up. So it is, we are full on hobby here. By the by, my wife is gone this week. She's out of town and I have nothing going on. So it's just like, literally, this is me, sit here, knock it out. So here we go. Yeah. Yes.
Convenient.
And odd pieces. Absolutely. Okay.
Awesome. Well, for me, I've been building models all week. And because I've been playing with my kids, I've become sensitized to the fact that I probably need to paint up some terrain. Like a lot of my terrain is gray, and I'm getting a lot more games with my kiddos, and they're wanting to like play with certain pieces of terrain. So like I've been on like full court terrain painting blitz.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And so I've assembled like like 2 full tables worth of terrain that I'm like working on basing, and then I've painted up like fully painted up 4 pieces. Some of that printed terrain that I got years ago for like the printable terrain stuff. Like I have the big chapel is all painted up now in very typical Stormcast, like white and blue with like the sandstone look. And I have a big like broken up mausoleum, or not mausoleum, like an abbey in Stormcast stuff, and then like one of the ruins in Stormcast sandstone as well. So yeah, it's been fun.
Nice. Again, I still have my little terrain piece. It's over there. I was kind of working on the side. It's fallen off for the moment. Like I've got it primed up in Zenithal and whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'll get back to that after I'm done with. I don't have time for that too this week. Like we got to be on point. It is focused. We go. That is it. Because this is gonna, like to get this. Like I just, I'm not willing to fail at this is what I'll say. So that means we got to put in the time. There's no distractions. There you go. Okay, cool. All right. So Tom, did you know that they released new scrolls and points for the Monstrous Arcanum from Forge World?
Weird. No, let's talk about that.
I know. We should totally talk about it, Tom. Yeah, so we got new scrolls and points for obviously the monsters out of the Monstrous Arcanum, the Forge World monsters. Which, by the way, like I understand that 40K and Horus Heresy out of Forge World are just printing money, so it's hard to call for more AOS. Like I get it. I really do. Like they do shoulder pads and guns and helmets and stuff, and people just pay outrageous amounts of money for this, like all 3 different packs to customize their stuff. Yep. I can't hate them for that. If I had a money printing machine, I would turn it on too. But
I would, it's so funny. They pulled all the shoulder pads and all that from like the main GW stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys know that, like the Storm Host shields and all that for Liberator, sure. Like the upgrade stuff, all those are gone. Like you can't buy those on GW's website anymore. And I had to wonder, like, if the consequence, like if we aren't going to migrate to Forge World for that kind of stuff, like that on-demand stuff.
It'd be fine. I would be perfectly okay with that. I hope we see more out of them soon. They have a director now who does AOS stuff, so I really hope we see some stuff over the next year.
Like I would be tempted to make a storm host specific if they were more readily accessible like that.
Right. For me, it's just like, I just want some more monsters, some more cool stuff like that. I like it for those boutique things. I don't think I would want to go out and buy 100 shoulder pads for a whole army. I really don't. I don't think I'd be willing to drop the cost. But for like one cool monster, I'm totally willing to do it, right? Like,
you just got a Forge World something, didn't you?
I did.
You got a Morngul, or
I picked up a Morngul and we'll talk about them when we get through them. But yes, I picked up a Morngul and a Warpnaw Vermin Lord or whatever. The Skaven Monstrous Arcanum Vermin Lord. Yeah, that's he got you have my attention. So we'll talk about him when we get in there. He was the only Vermin Lord I don't own, and I was like, well, I've got some money to spend here. So, like I had that raffle thing, and I was like, all right, that's cool. I've always wanted this guy. So there you go. Okay. So I thought we would start with the Monstrous Arcanum and kind of take a look through the scrolls and give some hot takes on these guys. That sound good to you, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Overall, as I'm loading this up, what are your impressions on the thing?
I mean, like there's some nice, good, subtle tweaks. There's a lot of refinement. A lot of I felt like it was a lot more finer, like just like small adjustments, like minor adjustments. That said, there were some pretty big changes that seemed minor that are going to end up being huge.
Yeah,
that's
I agree. I super duper
it's
agree.
The second. I always talk about the secondary and tertiary consequences of balancing that people don't often see.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the secondary and tertiaries in balancing these scrolls that I think they missed.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's see how that plays out. All right. So we'll start here with Mr. Basilisk. We're just going to go right in order. All right. So, and by the way, I've got the points up on a separate screen so I can reference that because obviously that's pretty important for evaluating these guys. Most of these guys are behemoths, almost, down the line. There's some exceptions, obviously, for the non-monsters. So this guy's a 160 point behemoth. Okay. So 10 wounds. Obviously, this dude belongs in destruction. He's just generic destruction monster. He's got a very inaccurate acid spit that does nothing.
One attack. So it is an attack that doesn't actually attack. Continue.
Yeah. This might as well just say bleep, bloop, bleep, and it would be as useful or pointful. And then he's got a bite, which has a decent rend and probably won't hit or do anything. And a fair number of claw attacks that are average.
This guy, uninteresting. Next.
He's completely uninteresting. I want to get deeper, though. Why? Like, this guy is such a miss. Basilisk's such a cool idea, right? Like, a basilisk is a classic monster.
You could, auto kill units and turn them into terrain pieces and stuff.
Sure.
Like that.
Sure. Like, yes, he has this stare thing, his, gaze, which clearly is what's carrying his points, by the way. Because you pick a unit within 12, and, the likely outcome is that you do, 2.5 mortal wounds.
Right.
Okay.
At 12 inches.
At 12 inches. But I mean, this guy's exactly. This guy's a 10 wound model with a 5-up save.
Yep.
And he's relatively slow too for a foot dude. Doesn't fly. 10-inch move that gets slower. I find, and he's in generic destruction, so he's very hard to put in lists. Right? Because nobody has this as an ally. Right?
Yep.
So you got to go generic destruction to even get them in their list. And that's going to be one of the interesting ways that I think is the dividing line for what's good and what's bad here. And what I mean by that is it allyable? Is it able to be included as an ally, or does it, by its inclusion, push you into generic alliance? I think is a huge dividing line.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, on whether the stuff is play or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Bone Grinder Giant. Oh, I'm excited about this guy. I am. I would have bought one of these had there been one in the store. Not a joke. But there was not. They didn't have any in stock. So Bone Grinder Giant, fat 20 wounds, 4 up
Can you know what?
save.
Can I just briefly say something?
Go for it.
You know what? You know what is the win for me here? I don't
What's
know
that?
if you've noticed.
I noticed
All
it. Go ahead. Okay.
All of the giants don't fall anymore.
Yeah, it is exactly correct. That was going to be my closing point, but I'm okay with you moving it to the top. They fixed the stupid timber rule. By the way, they didn't fix it for the base giant.
Right, I know. I'm saying all the giants in here
Yes.
have that falling rule removed. So these giants are usable. Even though the main giant is not, these guys are at least usable.
That is correct. Because the base giant still has that dumb rule that whenever you charge and roll doubles, not only do you have to resolve the fall over thing, but he automatically fails the charge. That is the most infuriating rule in the history of rules. I hate it. It means you fail a sixth of the charges you would have otherwise made. Awesome.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So most people fail a 3-inch charge on Snake Eyes. You fail a 3-inch charge on any double. You cannot make a 12-inch charge with a giant. It's not possible.
Right.
Like, it's just terrible, and it kills me. I have a giant army. That's realsies. I have 10 giants that I've done. I love giants. Okay. But they fixed it on this dude. He doesn't do that.
Yep.
He falls over when he's slain, and it's awesome. Let's
hope that they update those other scrolls. Let me say that.
I agree. Fix the regular giant. So he's got decent enough range attack. It exists. It's fine. Throw it at relatively fine distance. It's going to miss most of the time, but it's a cannonball. He throws a cannonball, right? I mean, it's 4 up, 2 up, -2, D6. That is literally a cannonball. So he throws a cannonball. His attacks are solid. His basic club has rend and his base damage too.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then the jump up and down rule is hot, right? Like, you get it at the end of the combat phase, you pick a unit within an inch and you roll a die. If it's equal to or less the number of models in the unit, they take D6 mortal wounds. And this dude and his Longshanks is great, where he can actually be chosen to fight when he's within 6 inches, meaning he can often fight even if he didn't make a charge or something. You roll bad on the charge or whatever, you get within 6, you're still in. You're definitely in because he can just make the step. I love this dude. And the real bright side about this guy is they magically lowered him to 400 points. So, and he is an Ale Guzzler Gargant still.
Yeah.
So he can be pulled into a lot of destruction factions, because most of the destruction factions have giants as an ally, right? So yep.
At 400 points, he's a pretty steep buy though. But
I get it. I'm not saying this dude is top tier. Okay, let me be. I should be more precise about that.
He's fun. Yep.
He's playable and he's super fun. He's not now literally infuriating to play, right?
No, I would agree with that. Yep.
Okay, we'll move faster through some of these. I just wanted to. I just really love this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up, Brood Horror. Cool. Skip. We'll talk about it in terms of the leader, like the one with the guy on top.
Well, what I was going to say is, go ahead. That's fine.
No, please. If you had a quick thought,
they cleaned up that war scroll. Like, before that, Brood Leader had like a 3-inch range attack, and he had like 2 melee profiles of his, like, one for his bite, one for his claws, and so they dropped his wounds. So they just cleaned him up. Yeah. Which, again, like, that good. Kudos.
Yep. We'll talk about him a little more in depth on the leader guy, because he's the one that's actually interesting. You'd probably include. All right, the Carmine Dragon. So this is an interesting one, obviously, as we have the Order Dragon. The oh so popular Order monsters. It's cool as a weird standout, right?
Yeah.
This thing is
at 440, still a little bit expensive, but he's really hard.
It is a very tough monster because it's 3-up save base with a 5+ mortal wound shield, right?
And 4-up immunity to spells.
Yep. including endless spells. Yeah. Very defensive. That there, it's soul shearing blast breath is a little underwhelming because it's like actually incredibly hard to land. Only goes on a 5-up.
Yeah, not reliable.
But decent number of attacks. Everything's rend 2. I'm not sure this thing's 440 points. It obviously only has a place in a generic order list.
Yeah, like I mean, if this was like 380, 360, I would be in. As like a wrecking ball. But yeah. At 440, like
it's a bit
he's
high.
Competing. Yes.
Like, is this dude a mega boss on Maw Crusher? No.
No, of course not.
No.
Now what I would say is this: if you had like the old Carmine had like Elsabeth on it, like there's an Elsabeth, like the Necromancer, like you slap a Amethyst wizard on top of this, like give it spells, like a wizard casting profile spells, and maybe like a like 2 scythe attack or whatever. I would pay 440 for that.
Sure, absolutely. Even if it was just like a single spellcaster, no bonuses, just literally like stock standard, cast it by one spell.
1-up. Yep.
I completely agree. If it still had its Amethyst caster on the top, I would be all about this person. Like I would see building an entire sort of order, an order Shaiish list around this thing. You could do a really cool theme if it was a
fun theme.
Yeah. But without the caster, I agree. It's just too much. You can do better things in order for 440. All right, the Chaos Siege Gargant.
I love this dude.
Do you now? What do you like about
this
guy? So he's 200 points. Okay.
Yep.
12 wounds, 4-up, obviously. What do you like?
I like the fact that he's like, so from a point standpoint, he's not expensive. Right?
Sure.
Because like this guy's down in the like sub 200 range, right?
Yeah, he's 200 points on the nose. Yes.
Yeah, like 200 points. And I just like if you've seen the original model, he had a sweet model.
He did have a cool model, no doubt. I mean, and he's an easy conversion. Hammer armor onto a giant. That's all you have to do. But yeah.
Right. Yep. And I like rerollable saves against range attacks. Again, a 200-point monster. Like that's what he is. Like he could do with more rend, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I mean, I like things that can skip over terrain as well.
Sure. Here's my problem.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I don't like him. Now, first of all, we should state he's in Monsters of Chaos, so obviously lots of people can bring in. Like most of the Chaos factions have Monsters of Chaos as an ally, so you can actually get in there pretty easy.
Yep.
Why I don't like
and he's going to draw heat.
Sure-ish. I don't know. My issue with him is this column right here. He is so slow. He is cripplingly slow. Like pretty fast, he's just going to be moving 6 inches. That is like, I understand that he can move as though he can fly. Good luck even getting over the terrain. Like at a 6-inch move. That's like, yeah, his attacks are totally underwhelming. I mean, unwounded, he's got an average of, 10 attacks based on rolls, and they're not good. Like the 2 wound to 5-up on those chains. Oh God. Like these are not good attacks. These result in almost nothing as far as damage goes.
Sure. The lasting chains, like, they're not going to land. Yep.
I look at him and I'm like, I would just take a Chimera over this guy, and Chimeras aren't great.
Okay, and that's fair. I guess I could see that.
So I just feel like he's a whiff. He needs to either, if he's going to be the slow, lumbering defensive giant, which I think could be cool, like having a non-offensive giant, he needs to be
drop him down to a 3+.
Yeah, he would need to be more defensive, right? Like he isn't defensive enough for what he's playing at here.
Yep, no, that's fair.
Okay. Oh, winner, chicken dinner. Maybe this guy's in contention for one of the biggest winners of the change. Clocking in.
He is the biggest winner, period.
Let me finish my setup. Clocking in at 320 points. It's the elephant from the north, the 22 wound monstrosity. It is in the red trunks, the Chaos War Mammoth. This guy's awesome. Go ahead, Dom. No, shut up.
there's two things that happened here that is just like winning. The first is the move from a 5+ save to a 4+.
Yep.
Because he used to have a 5, and a 5 to a 4 is a pretty big jump.
It is a big deal.
The other one, and the much more important one, and it's the one that I was complaining about years ago, and somebody heard mine and everyone else was complaining that you can mark this guy now, and not only mark him, scroll to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
He has the mortal keyword. Yeah, I care less about Slaves of Darkness and more about mortal.
I understand.
Because all those mortal Nurgle buffs hit
this
him
has
now.
interactions. This has interactions.
Yes.
This has interactions. This guy is actually interactive now in lots of different ways, is what I want to point out.
Yeah.
He fits into
and he can be
ton of lists.
Yes. Like all the god armies, he fits now. My only lament is that you can't buy him. When this scroll dropped, by the way, the first thing I did was I went to eBay and checked prices. And there was one, I'm guessing it was a recast. It may have been original, but I'm guessing it was recast for like $330. And I stood there for about 4 minutes looking at that auction, going, should I pull the trigger? And the only thing that kept me from doing it was that I'm not planning on playing my Nurgle army, soon. Because if I was, I would immediately buy this guy.
I mean, I feel like the answer is one of two things, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
Option the first, Mumak, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, cool. I had one of those, and I don't like the scale. It's tiny compared to what this guy was.
No, you're not going to get something this big. Okay, it's fine. Who cares? Whatever. Yeah. I mean, sure. You know what? I understand this dude's real big. You know what? I'm not willing to do? Pay $700. Okay.
Sure.
The price is right. Okay. Option the second, like a Stonehorn or Thundertusk kit converted. Right.
Yeah. Base. I know people have done that, and I've looked at it. I just I haven't come up with anything that I'm comfortable with. So
there is an option the third. If you're willing to go other places, Mearse does make a big giant mammoth as well.
I know they do, but again, none of them feel right. Because this dude needs to feel 22 wounds. What I would say is this: my hope, my dear hope, is that with the potential Dark Oath stuff, is that somebody was like, "Hey, we ought to re-release one of those mammoths."
Sure.
It's a low-hanging fruit that they can easily latch into. For this, and they've made things that were discontinued re-available again. And so I'm really hoping that they return the mammoth to the market.
Sure.
Because I would buy one the next day.
I mean, we should point out that this guy's actually good as well, right? Not only that 4+ save, he's still got his 22 wounds.
He's rendable, and he has mortal wounds with his tusks, and dude is stompy. I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty good. If he's unwounded and charges in, you get 5 goring tusk rolls, right? And everyone that's a 4+ is D3 mortal wounds on the unit. If it's 3+, they're a monster.
320 points.
Yeah, this guy's fantastic.
You can have 2 of these for 640.
But that's how math works. Yes, Tom.
I know. And still have a very large army.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
By
the way, this makes the barbarian the Marauder army viable again.
Sure. I mean, this is, like I said, I won't necessarily call it the sexiest one, but it's definitely up there. No one would argue for that this isn't in contention of the sexiest update.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 small changes. That's all it took.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't take much. Okay.
Next.
All right, on. So I expect to see many elephant proxies hitting the table. You know what the bright side about an elephant proxy is? It's not really a proxy.
Sure.
Because if you put down a giant elephant on the table and go, "This is my Chaos War Mammoth," later on in the game, I'm not going to be like, "Wait, which model was the giant war? Which model was the War Mammoth? Is it the giant elephant?" Oh, okay, probably. Yep. All right, Colossal Squig. Any thoughts?
I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
It's so reminiscent of Warhammer Online.
Yes, it is. The fungoid squig explosion obviously being a big win. right? Like, this is hilarious. Where after he pops, you do mortal wounds and then set up cave squigs in your army. So he explodes tinier squigs. He also has, even though he's got a crappy save, he does have a nice little, the standard like squee neg 1 to be hit thing. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I'm in on this guy. Like, I've already repriced out, like, if the Moon Clan drops this fall, which it will, what it's going to take me to rebuy all these Forge World models.
Right. Yep, that's understandable. He's just so we close the loop on this, Colossal Squig is 300 points even. So there you go.
Yeah, and if you scroll down, folks will notice that he has the Moon Clan keyword, so he's going to get all the buffs from the back.
Yep.
So, yep.
Absolutely. Cursed Etten. Cursed da Etten. All right, this guy. He does have all the keywords. He's 200 points.
He does. I was going to say, the big win with him is that he has all the keywords.
Yes. He's okay. I don't know. I would rate him as okay. He's certainly way better than the other giant because at least he has a decency to have a move of 10.
Yeah, and again, keywords. Like, keywords are real important because for buffs, like, he's going to get all those buffs.
Yeah, I mean, he has the same price as the other giant. You know.
Yeah, So, by the way, I think I was thinking about this guy when I said I'm a fan.
Gotcha.
Because I thought the other one had the keywords or not. The other guy got moved from the Legion of Asgore into this. But yeah, the Cursed Etten, this was an upgrade. And yes, I think he's I like his buy at 200. This guy, because of the keywords, because he has -2 rend attacks. Like, he has Cannonball Fist.
Sure.
Threes make
Sure. And it's got an actual decent chance of connecting at 2 up, 3 up. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's not horrible. Like I rate the Siege Giant. I call this guy out. To me, he's like a hot 6. Like, you could have a fun list with him. I don't think he'd ever show up anywhere.
Yep.
Super great. No. He still can't be like marked with like an actual mark, and that's what keeps him out of being super useful. The Dreadmaw, holy crap, this guy, 460 points.
Yeah.
And that's where the discussion ends. Like, he's fine for what he does. Like, rules wise, you look at him and it's like, okay.
460.
Right. He's got a super sweet triple attack with a -3 rend and D6 damage. Like, holy God, that's a lot of high rend, high damage attacks. You know what I mean? Like, he'll get there.
Yep.
And then a bunch of other just coil attacks that are all still -1 rend. But like, and a little spray attack that's, a rocket basically.
Yeah.
And the fact that you even get to reroll his 2 up to wound if you're attacking regular infantry is just absolutely hilarious. He's got a 4 up mortal wound save, 3 up base save. Like, he's tough. He moves as though he flies. Yeah. He's relatively fast, 14-inch move. Like,
but he has generic destruction.
Exactly. He ticks all the right rules on the scroll. The problem is he's he could even be set up in reserve, basically, right? Like, I mean, this dude just ticks all the boxes. He is the Venn diagram of rules to win, right? High rend, high mobile, set up in reserve, mortal wound shielding, moves as though he flies, highly accurate, highly durable, and yet I just don't see using him. He has a home maybe in a generic destruction army, but even then, 460 is.
Yeah, that's brutal.
It's tough, but he's certainly.
The question is he a Maul Crusher? Well, maybe.
I mean, I didn't.
But the problem is the synergies. The part where it falls apart is that he doesn't have synergies.
Right.
There's no buffing. There's no with the Maul Crusher. You're going to get bonus attacks and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah,
you don't get an island.
Yeah, this dude's an island. Yep. He's generic destruction monster.
Yep.
All right, Dread Saurian. So this guy is interesting now. Because he can be summoned for a ridiculous amount of conjuration points. A ridiculous amount. There's no way he ever gets summoned. It never. Never, 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 never. Why? Why would you not have summoned 30 other useful things on your climb to 40
You can
points?
summon him in turn 2
I'm not arguing you can't get to 40. You can get to 40. Okay.
with
Like,
2 Swan dedicated to summoning him.
okay, cool, neat. I don't even like it doesn't matter. In any of the 100 ways, Slan can cheat their way to high, conjuration points. I don't care about that. My point is this guy really more worth it than the other things you could summon for 40 conjuration points? There is no way the answer is yes. No way.
That's fair. That's fair. I like the skin community, Battleshock community. Like he brings some utility in addition to his stompiness.
I mean, yeah, he's cool because he makes the skinks like that. He self heals, which is good. Decent save at the 3-up. I mean, the biggest problem is his big damage attack is a low rend attack. Right? He has this ridiculous 6 damage bite. I mean, it falls off quickly enough, 654, but it doesn't go to like D3 or something. But it's on -1 rend. Whereas his ton of attacks attack at -2 rend is like 1 damage. So, like he's a tough one. Because I mean he has 420 points. And again, oh boy. I think he's funsies at best. At best, he's funsies.
Sure. The house cat is funsies.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Exalted Greater Demon of Khorne, the king of the exalted demons. So that by that what I mean is this guy has 580 points. Gordorak level points. 20 wounds on a 4-up save. He can fly. He can be summoned for 16 blood tithe points. So if every unit on the battlefield has died, you can summon him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's
I was not impressed with any of the greater demon movements. Let me say that.
Sure. I get that. This guy's pretty decent. He ain't 580 points decent. They clearly banked in the ability to summon them, right? When they were talking about him. He his axe is fine. He gets a ton of relatively accurate attacks. Like he can take 8 wounds and still be on a 2-up to wound at -2 rend and 3 damage. That's not a bad attack at all, right? But again, so many points. That's it. That's all he's got.
Yeah. He hits things hard.
Sure. He's got a command ability. It's not that good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nurgle, you know this one. So you want to talk about this one? 35 contagion points. Again, nope, never. You'd summon other things first, plague bearers, whatever. It's just no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Let me see if I can find the numbers of how he moved. Like I had him up here and I can't find him now.
He went down in wounds, right?
He did go down in wounds, which is like a bad thing. He didn't go down in wounds. Sorry. He went up in save. He went from a 3+ to a 4+.
A common tale amongst these guys.
Yep. He lost a D6 of his ranged attacks. Those ranged attacks, by the way, were at D3 damage. They went to 1 damage. His massive bile sword stayed the same. It just they just made him bad.
Mm-hmm.
And his points,
so his points are 460. Yep.
Yeah, so he lost 40 points for a lot of nerfs.
Right.
It's not worth it. Nope, sorry, pass.
I mean, he kind of has Glocken's ability, right? But only for one Nurgle demon unit.
Yeah. He has the normal guy, the normal buff that you get for a normal dude at 360 points.
Yeah, whatever the cheaper Guo is.
Yeah, he's a normal Guo. Like, he has the Guo spell.
Yep.
Like, it's just not. Nope, I'll take a Guo.
Agreed. I do not get this guy at his points. I really don't.
Like, I just don't. I don't know what the logic was in those changes, other than to make just the Guo better.
Yep. The Exalted Greater Demon of Slanesh. All right, I'll tackle this one.
Yep.
I was sad about this. Okay. But
Yeah.
she is the cheapest one at 440.
Yep.
And she's notably the only one where we don't have a comparable refresh option, right? We are still running on our old crappy Keeper of Secrets. She's still fast, 15 wounds. She went from a 3 up to a 4 up save, which is the part that hurts the most. Okay. That hurt.
Yep.
Her Kako went from automatic 3 to D3. Who cares? She kept her good command ability. Cool. She kept her attacks the same. Cool.
Yep.
So like that's all fine. Her rend is all still the same. Like all that's fine.
Yep.
She lost a reroll 1s to wound, which sucks. I don't know why we lost that. That was just like a little hit that didn't need to go. Like if you needed to get the 3 to 4 plus save, I'm cool with it because they want these guys to be killable. That's fine. But they did fix the sort of temptation thing. It used to work stupidly. Now, basically, if she's in combat with somebody, she can pick a model and they get to reroll hit rolls of 1, which is funny because so many things already reroll hit rolls of 1. She can give them often nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the combat, roll a dice, and on a 6, that hero is slain. What's stupid about that is that if she kills it with that slain thing, she doesn't get the depravity points for whatever was left on their wounds, right?
Right.
It would have been.
She does.
No, if a model is slain outright, you don't get the depravity points.
Yeah.
So, like, and it would have been so easy to just say on a 6, that hero suffers 10 mortal wounds, right? Or something. And that still would have killed most things, but not killed everything. And would have actually fed depravity points. Like, the design on her is sort of sideways. And again, 42 depravity points. Are you serious? 42? No. No. I'll take the like 2 exalted herald chariots and the other stuff and the daemonettes I can get out of that. Thank you. Appreciated. The exalted greater demon of Zench at clock in the even 500. Yeah. Yep. Again, like he's still got his 20 wounds, which is weird. It's weird that he's the highest wounds one. Why?
Yep.
I guess the Bloodthirster also does. These guys got strange. So
right. Like I don't know why Nurgle. Yeah. Anyways.
Yes.
It's dumb.
Well, yes, there is one flip advantage we should mention. It was just mentioned in the comments. I was just about to mention at the end of all these. They are no longer unique. You can include multiple.
Yeah, but
I mean, now that you don't want to, you can. So the Femark Noble and Warriors, they got split out into their own thing. Yeah, although I don't know why. Like, these guys are just destruction. I don't know what the point of these are. They're an oddity. They're the equivalent of a Dangler faction, right?
Yeah.
And what's worse about them is that they lost their little, like, battle line thing. You can't, even if you wanted to invest the money to run an all-female army, you can't because they lost their battle line thing.
Right. Yep. There's no conditional battle line with them.
Yeah, they're just other unit. You know, the regular female are 3 for 140. The noble himself is 140 for 1, obviously.
Yep.
Okay.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. And you know, he has a reroll charge ability as his leadership. Okay.
Yep. No thanks.
Yeah, I mean, pass.
You mean like when LS gets reroll charge?
What's that? Yeah.
Like the generic AOS one.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. That is correct. They got a thing you can spend. Yes. You can spend a command point and do it for the 1 unit that failed, or spend a command point and affect everybody but need it for the 1 unit that failed. Okay. The Incarnates, the elemental of beasts and fire. These are big losers. I'm sad because they lost their summoning. Yep.
I'll pass.
I agree with your appraisal. They're both clocking in at 300. Their ranged weapons are more or less worthless. The Beast one does make a ton of decent rend attacks. Like, that is not to be underwritten. This dude does make 12 neg 2 rend attacks. Only 1 damage, but
Right.
okay.
Nah, just not worth it.
Sure. Again,
Like,
because
attack is the one that you would care about it, but it's a 5 up to hit.
Yep. Again, because they're just generic destruction. There's nobody who can ally these. You can't summon them anymore. You can't buy the models. Why? Like, okay. So they're just such a loss. The gigantic chaos spawn at 180. Nope.
No.
Like, it can be marked.
I see like all of the D6 and all of the attacks and move, and I'm like, nope. Not reliable.
Yeah. Yes, obviously this dude is like ridiculously all over the shop on his actual abilities, because his move, all of his attacks, like everything is random. He can kill himself because his little plaything of the Dark Gods ability can literally wound him, or he can add to his wounds.
Yeah.
Because he has no actual top end for his wounds. He'll just keep building if he hasn't actually been wounded, right?
That's silly.
He is a weird model that I can definitely find 180 points better to spend in a Chaos Army. But at least he can be marked. Magma Dragon. 20 wounds. 540 points. He went up. Okay.
Yeah. Because he was good before.
Sure. But he's got his burning blood got sort of fixed. So now it's a reflection on every wound or mortal wound, and can be 1 or D3. I dig this guy. He stays at neg 3 rend for a long time with his ridiculous Furnace Hot Jaws, 4 attacks on 3s and 2s.
It's too bad he doesn't have any synergy.
He doesn't, but I've written some generic destruction lists with him, and I don't hate them. Let me just say that.
Right, I know. Like, yeah, that's what I would say. Is that, like, I would still run him, I think, in a generic. Like, he'd be fun to theme an army around.
He would be, yes. Like, there are some generic destruction lists where this guy's got some heat, you might say.
Yep.
Yeah, like, I think this he's big enough and bad enough. I'd build a generic destruction list around him, right? He actually will centerpiece the army. And I would just point out that he can be the target of Gordrak's command ability. Just point that out. Whatever you think. Maybe you want to have both. Maybe you want him to go screaming in with, let's say, 6 attacks with his Furnace Hot Jaws. Whatever you think. Just a thought. Just a thought of him ripping through a unit with that neg 3 rend ridiculous damage thing. These are just thoughts. You do with them what you will. All right. Mazaral the Butcher. 340. He is obviously Khorne.
Yeah. Nah.
I find his command ability wholly underwhelming.
Yeah.
In a single unit gets to reroll wound rolls of 1. Cool.
Yeah.
He can unbind. I mean, he's got a good save, but okay. Cool. Like, I don't know what this dude is doing that makes him worth the 340 points in a Chaos Army.
Right.
I definitely in Khorne, I can spend that 340 points better. No doubt. Yep. Merworm, again, this is the standard destruction mid-tier problem. Dude's 260. He has no reason to exist. Like, this, when are you ever taking this guy? Right?
You're just not.
He's not big enough to push you into generic destruction. Okay. Like, skip. Morngol obviously had some interesting changes. So the Morngol is now the cheapest he's ever been. He's at 300 on the points. Still making 8 attacks. Save at a flat 4 up. He's ethereal now, like the Nighthaunt. His Frightful Touch ability basically mirrors the Nighthaunt things. If he gets a 6, he has 2 mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. It used to just be like go up a damage, right? And he still has the neg 1 hit to anybody within 6 inches.
No, you got to reroll. You got to additional attack previously.
What's that?
On the 6. He got an additional attack on the 6. Now he just does 2 to mortal wounds on the 6.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and he used to eat models and heal per model or whatever, and now he just heals a flat D3. I like him. And he has the Night Haunt keyword now, which is what matters.
He does. Yes, he does. That's what matters. I think this dude, I mean, like I picked one of these up because I think he's in the mix now. Solid ethereal.
Yeah,
yep. He obviously lost a huge amount of toughness, but I still like him as kind of a big, scary centerpiece for your Night Haunt army. That's what I think he's useful for.
Would completely agree.
And at 300, you're not over investing in him. Prayton, garbage.
Pass.
Yep, just total garbage in a chaos army. He can be allied. I keep wanting this guy to be good. He's very bad. I wish he wasn't. He is. Absolutely. He's 140 points, by the way. He's one of the cheapest ones and still hot garbage.
Yep.
Okay. Brilliant just said with the Morngul, skip him and buy another black coach. Also, probably not a bad idea at 280. That black coach will do a lot of the same work. Okay. The Rogue Idol. Tom, you got any thoughts on the Rogue Idol?
Love it. Dude, I love the changes to this. Love it.
Yeah.
So the 2 big penalties to this unit evaporated.
Yep. You want to talk us through it real quick?
Yeah, so the first big penalty was that he, like, when he died, he, like, penalized everybody, all the Grot and Auric, like, braveries.
Yep.
For the rest of the battle. That doesn't happen anymore, which is kind of awesome. The more importantly, he also is not forced to charge units anymore.
Yep.
So you can't bait this guy like you could in old school hate or whatever that was, whatever that ability was that made people, like, charge. And the other thing that I would say is that the other awesome thing about this guy is that he is your magic way to get to +3 cast on you those
your shamans.
You're the Iron Jaw shamans. The weird knobs can get a +2 cast by having orc bodies around them, and this guy can bump it to +3, which is pretty hot.
Yes, he's a big boy. He's 400, but he does clock in allyable, obviously, and he now has the greenskins keyword, so he's perfectly allyable to most destruction factions, most everybody. Yep. Yeah. So, like, he can be pulled in easy. He bonuses everything you want to bonus. He does decent damage. I think this guy will show up in some lists, especially like if you're pushing the casting thing or whatever. I think he's good. There are angles with him.
Yep.
Sail the Faithless and Nightmaw. Now a single model, you have to take both, and he's 200 points.
No, a single, like, they're 2 separate units that you have to buy. Yeah.
Yep.
It was the right de-incentivization of Sail, and what I mean by that is, like, it's now 200 points to buy him.
Yep. Like, he is what he is. He can throw Slaves to Darkness units around the battlefield. He can teleport them still. He's got a tough cast. Like, on a 7 ain't easy. But okay. Like, he's fine. Yeah. I have built a list or 2 with him in there.
I think he's weaker now with going to be the predominance of, like, the longer range unbinds. No ability to, like, hide from line of sight on those unbinds. Like,
agreed.
He's much weaker.
He's super weaker. Yeah. Yes. I mean, he's been straight.
You can't rely on with the new, like, he's actually unreliable now.
Yes.
As opposed to what he used to do.
He's not your winning tactic. The lists I put him in, he was just sort of like an ally where I had, to utility, like, throw around some stuff. Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
I think he's, again, I rate him as a 6 out of 10, right? Like,
Yep. He's acceptable.
He's acceptable. Like, you could, if you want to put him in a fun list, go ahead. Oh God, these corn monsters. Skarek the Bloodborne.
Pass.
Again. Yes, 440 leader behemoth unique. Nope. Again, I hate when they throw this crappy reroll a charge thing at people, because now that is so duplicative.
Yep.
Skaven Warlord on Brood Horror. Here's my comment on him I wanted to make. Okay. I don't hate this guy. Okay. But he is also completely worthless right now. He's 220. He's fine enough because he interacts with Verminous and stuff and has the standard rat command ability. You can get that same command ability much cheaper. This guy, if they ever actually put out the combined Skaven tome at some point in time, this guy could have gas in the tank. Okay. Because like then he, especially because of what he is and the sort of, however keywords work at that time, he could be useful.
Yeah.
Right now for him and the skin wolves, by the way, or not skin wolves, sorry, the wolf rats. They're just worthless right now because Mulder's stupid and doesn't do anything. So like, but if they ever had like a Legions of the Skaven style tome, don't forget about these guys. Come back to them, give them another look then, right? Speaking of, poor Marok, the skin wolves. These guys got kneecapped for like no reason. They're now 3 for 160 and they don't have their 6-inch leap anymore. Nope. They can run and charge. No, they're terrible. Okay. The Squig Gubba, Mr. The only other thing, because he's actually artillery.
So here's what I'll say about the Squig Gubba. I'm going to jump in here. He's a 6.
He's a what?
He's not a 1. He's a 6 now. He's not a 1 like he used to be. He's a 6.
Yeah, he was a 1 out of 10. He was a 1 on the 1 out of 10 chart. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a 6 now.
Okay.
6 attacks at 3s and 3s. Against a large unit doing D3, no rend. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
He's anti-hard.
Sure. Yep. It's okay. We can all look at that and go, well, it's range and destruction. And that's not a thing they have a lot of. I'm not sure I wouldn't just take bolt throwers, but whatever.
Agreed.
Okay. Yes, we have liked some stuff. Somebody asked, have we liked anything so far? Oh yeah, many things. I'm just trying to call the ball here as I see them. Like if I think they're useful, I'll call it. If I don't, I don't. The Troggoth Hag was traditionally useful because obviously she's a Troggoth, so she can be allied into a lot of destruction things. I think she is still useful in much the same way. She took a little bit of a hit. She's 380.
I'd still run her. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I want to build a list around her.
Yeah, she's slow, but that vomit is still brutal as all get out. She's still got neg 1 to be hit.
You're saying she's slow, or you can give her the cloak so that she flies 12.
That's true.
Like,
well, she's technically only a behemoth. She's not a leader.
Oh, she's not a hero. I thought she was
actually,
a hero.
well, hold on. Let me see if she has hero. Yeah, she has a hero. I was looking at her role. Yeah, she's a non-leader hero.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yep.
So she doesn't take a leader slot out of your army. That's kind of cool. I hadn't thought about that before this moment. Yeah, she still heals like a baller. Her Hag Curse is still really good. I mean, it's a hard cast on a 7, but neg 1 to hit and neg 1 saves is brutal. Absolutely brutal.
It's disappointing that she doesn't have the unbind. Well, yeah, she does have the unbind thing. Never mind.
Yeah, she does. Oh yeah, this is like, and now doing this at a 30-inch range is why, despite the changes, I feel actually quite like her. Right? It's a shame she's only it's a shame she's only a single caster, single unbinder, but still, like that's why I rate her. I think for 380, she's a real another, like the idol, she's another interesting inclusion into your destruction ally list. And
totally agree.
I think she's strong 7-8. I'm down. Warp Fire Dragon. Yep.
Okay.
Sure is. That sure is a Warp Fire Dragon. The Warp Fire Dragon is 240. It can be allied. I just don't know what I'm doing with it.
Yeah. I would take something that has synergy. This doesn't have any synergy with anything.
Chaos is so reliant on synergy, and there's such an overabundance of choice in Chaos because of the way the gods interact and because of the way you can get everything in there.
Playable. I just don't know that I would ever run it.
Right. It's like a solid 5, and the problem is in whatever you're in, there's almost always better choices. So it's not that this is bad. It's just that there's too much other good choices. And at whatever Chaos faction you're in, there's something better you could take. Right?
Yes. Agreed.
Even Slanesh has better choices. All right, Warpnaw Verminlord. I picked this dude up. I'm excited about this guy. All right, so whatever. He's a 10 wound, 4 up save guy with a 5 up wound, mortal wound.
No, I mean what matters is your realm guide ability.
That's right.
Because of the change there. Like that's what matters here. Do you want to talk about that, Vince?
It's not the only thing that matters. This guy has 2 things that matters. His attacks are all like whatever. He's tough-ish. he can now take a unit of Skaven off the table, right? Like not off the table, but he can set up in reserve like the Idneth guy and like the Fire Slayer dude, and then bring that unit onto the table anywhere, right? And he can do it any time automatically in round 1, 2, or 3. Oh, somebody asked me for the 1 to 10 on a magma dragon. Solid 7, maybe an 8, depends on you have to build the whole destruction list around it. There you go. Okay, so Warpnaw Verminlord, I love this guy. I love his ability to carry a whole Skaven unit, whatever it is, of any type, any Skaven, off the board and set them up in the enemy's face. There's a lot of different ways you can play with that because there's a lot of weird ways to gain hinky bonuses to charge and stuff in Skaven, or just have your reroll to charge out of your generic command ability. He is a caster. Yep. Can we talk about how this guy's the conga line killer for a minute?
Sure.
In your hero phase, right, you get to pick a model within 12 inches and roll a die. If it's equal to or greater than that model's wound characteristic, it's slain. You conga line 1 wound models in front of this guy, you're going to lose half the unit.
Yeah.
Because you'll pick a guy in the middle, kill him, and then just make sure nothing fights them. Because it's your turn. If they can't pile in back into coherency, they're dead at that. Half the unit dies at the end of the battle shock phase.
Yep.
He can also remove. Importantly, he can do things like remove a Zangor banner model. He'll kill that guy right out of the unit, right? Or whatever. Like he can pick your critical models out of units. So I don't think he's. I like him too. I don't think he's the hottest thing in the world, but I think he's cool. He's Master Clan. Yeah, sure. I would totally run him. I'm going to totally run him.
Have 4 attacks at 3s and 3s, neg 2 rend 5 damage.
That's true. That is true. This dude is making like Alarial Beetle level attacks. Yes, that is correct. Yes, not a terrible point. But you can't underestimate a 5 damage attack. The problem is he's very
Master Clan, so there's synergy.
Right. He is a little squishy at 10 wounds.
10 wounds.
If he's already good, he's already probably like a solid 7. If we got a Skaven book, this dude could become like a 9 so fast it'd make your head spin. Yes. And that's it. That's the end of that. I think we're at time here. You've got to go, so we might have to skip to Merkin for now. Unfortunately, I apologize. Tom has a hard stop.
We'll come back and do Merkin when we do the Chaos Wars.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I need to stop sharing. Internet is hard.
You're bad like me.
There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I apologize. We will do the Tamerkin's Horde stuff. Overall, there's a lot of interesting things. Do you want to give a 1 sentence on Tamerkin's Horde real quick?
Yeah, Tamerkin's Horde, they changed the allegiance abilities to basically function like the Stormhost abilities that require like a command trait and an item and all that stuff. It's interesting. It explains why Sail got moved out of that, even though Sail was traditionally Tamerkin's Horde. Because all Tamerkin's Horde can always be included in a Nurgle army, which I thought was interesting. And
any Nurgle army could just be Tamerkin's Horde, everything out of Maggot-Kin of Nurgle. You can use nothing. Yeah, you can use nothing out of that expansion and declare allegiance to Tamerkin's Horde and suddenly gain all those abilities. It's really interesting because, yes, Nurgle got its own Stormhost sneakily, basically, right?
Yeah.
It sets all of your features, but it has a lot of interesting stuff in it. What I'll say in advance of us doing the full Legion and Tamerkin's Horde review, we'll move that into that one. I am sorry if you're looking forward to that, but Tom has like 10 people in his family waiting on him on a holiday, and I'm already got him in trouble with his wife.
Super in trouble.
I know. So, but I would say if you're a Nurgle player, you should go check it out. The generic allegiance ability of causing Neg1 to run in charge of your enemy alone makes it worth a second look. That's what I'll say. Yep. That is crazy. Crazy.
An unbound range Neg1.
An unbound range Neg1 to all of their run in charge rolls.
Yep.
It's a big honking deal. So go check out Tamerkin's Horde if you're a Nurgle player. There you go. But as for that brings us to the end of the show. Rob was already chatting to me about apologizing and saying that, we'll get him back on and we're going to set a date. So thank you again. No issue, Rob. Please don't at him or anything like that. He couldn't be avoided. It's all good. He'll be back. And thank you to Tom for taking some extra time and we going through those scrolls. And thank you all for watching. As always, we appreciate it. Happy 4th of July if you're here in the States. Happy Wednesday elsewhere. And as always, We'll see you next Wednesday.